What's up, guys? My name is Morgan Baird, back with week two of Passing Under the Yellow with my amazing co-host Matt Kemp here. Matt, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. How's the Arca Menard series driver of this podcast doing?
Wannabe is what you can call me.
All right, well, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good. We had a pretty good weekend of races. Pretty exciting, if you ask some people, the most exciting ever. Um,
Yeah, I think they're just saying that because they know it's gone for good. They'd
I
probably
know.
say even the worst track on the circuit, like New Hampshire or something like that, was really exciting in its last race too. Just realized I didn't take my wheel off, so oh well, fuck it.
That's all right.
Um, but yeah, not a bad weekend of racing. Obviously, it's just the Cup and Xfinity stuff out there will be limited as to what we can talk to. But like we discussed, we've got a pretty decent amount of stuff to cover. Obviously, what first and foremost, it sucks that the weather was the way it was and kind of pushed everything off. I feel like no one's gotten any practice all year. If you really think about it, especially with this weekend, the Cup and Xfinity stuff being back to back, which I like that. I think that's awesome. Makes a long day for the fans in the stands, but if it was so amazing, they should have had those stands packed for the Xfinity race too. I thought the Xfinity race was a lot better than the Cup race, in my opinion, but we can get all into that later down the road. What were your initial takeaways?
Yeah, the weather was pretty nuts. Just seeing it was snowing in Southern California when NASCAR was there. It was a very memorable end to Auto
Last race,
Club's. Yeah, exactly. The very memorable end to Auto Club's existence. Because
yeah,
we're probably not. I mean, just from what I'm reading, it does not seem like we're coming back,
yeah.
even
It
as a
doesn't
short
seem
track.
like they want us back. There's the wild thing, you
Yeah.
know.
Well,
We
we'll
want to
get
be
into
a
that too.
presence there. Oh yeah, I'm very opinionated on that. Well, at the Xfinity Series, obviously second race of the season. I thought that race was a lot more racy. I don't know if it was the nighttime, uh, the track changing it being nighttime or whatnot. But I thought that race was pretty good early on. It looked like the 21 car is pretty quick. Obviously, expect Cole Custer to be up there. He's won the last two or three races out there when they raced. That 18 car, I think Logano made the. I thought, and first off, Logano and Blaney in the booth, I thought they're fantastic. I think Joey, they can call him what he want, Two Face or whatever, but he's great in the booth. Um, but yeah, he made the comment early in the race: if that 18 car doesn't win the race, well, then there's something wrong. And well, the 18 didn't win the race. Um, what jumped out at me as well is that save by the two car of Creed when he turned himself off of the front bumper. I don't know
That
what
was
he was thinking.
incredible. It
Yeah, it
was
was
incredible to save. Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to do with the block, but the
yeah,
save, it was well
unbelievable.
worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw him heading towards the inside sidewall. I'm like, oh my god, he's about to. The back wheels are about to lift up off the ground. There, he was heading towards certain disaster
I
there.
was picturing Kyle Larson 2016.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
100%. I can't. Instead, it ended up being like Andy. I think it was Andy Lally in '09 Daytona when he barely
Uh,
missed the inside wall of
no, it was
71 car.
Bobby
Was it Bobby
Labonte.
Labonte?
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was right when I was just starting to watch. So
No, that's good. It was that was incredible. I don't know what he was doing thinking about that block. I mean, he ran, I think was it Barry or Allgaier? I think he blocked him all the way down to the
sounds
yellow
about right.
line or the white line and just turned himself. He's lucky he didn't destroy that car. But other than that, let me see here. I have to go
Well,
over my notes.
you know what's even crazier too? Not just the fact that he got minimal damage from that, but like he drove to the lead again
Yeah,
after that. It was like,
he was
what?
very competitive. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
up there in the top 3 to 5 after that. Um, One of the other incidents in that race was when Josh Berry off of turn four drove from the bottom lane all the way to the top and just destroyed Tyler Reddick. I don't know if that's a spotter error or what, but it looked like, I mean, he just came up the track and didn't even have any regard for anyone that was there. I saw them talking after the race, and of course, they don't follow up with any of them on TV or anything like that. That was what I was interested in, is seeing kind of what Barry thought there. It didn't look like he was out of control. It looked like he just came up and almost didn't even realize that he was there. So I don't know what your thoughts might be on that, but I thought that was borderline ridiculous if he did know he was there. I think Reddick maybe could have done a challenge to win that race. I think he's in the Sam Hunt stuff. I want to say. But I mean, like I said, Sammy Smith, I thought had the best car next to John Hunter, who obviously went on to win the race. Cole Custer, Austin Hill, I thought those were probably the three or four best cars. Josh Berry wasn't too bad. Chandler Smith, he did pretty well, and so did Joe Graff Jr. being in that his first race in a Gibbs car. Hey, buddy, and uh, for having no practice, he did pretty well, I thought. But I mean, I think he gets practice in that car. He finishes in the top 10 for sure. I think he finished 11th, but um, you know, something else I'll touch on. I sent it to you. They were going through the field at one point last night, a little past halfway, and I don't know. I mean, this is Adam Alexander for you, and I think we're both opinionated on his spectacular commentating and whatnot. But I think they're a little past halfway, not even. He says, "Oh, Rajah Cruz. I mean, what an awesome comeback for this guy for all he's been through tonight." And I'm waiting for him to elaborate on what Rajah went through. They did a couple onboards with him, never really spoke of him struggling throughout the night. And you got Adam Alexander there saying, well, here he is in the top 20. He's been through so much today. Well, give us one example of what you're talking about there, Adam, because I don't recall shit. No offense to Rajah, he didn't do anything wrong, but it's just like, what are you? I don't know. It's just Adam Alexander logic for you, I think. Um, he made the comment on Caruth, halfway through, and then uh, other than I think Moffitt running up in the top half dozen there. They made, these are the guys I want to give the shout out to on top of Joe Graff. He's obviously in the best equipment, finishing 11th. Ryan Sieg, Kyle Sieg, I think were 12th and 13th, something like that. Josh Williams was up there. All those guys were in the top 20. Little to no recognition. I don't know. It's just kind of how NASCAR bias is. It's funny because I've listened, like I pointed out last week on the show, I listen to a lot of Dave Moody, a lot of Larry Mack, and they always will say it's a performance-based sport. If you want to run up, if you run well, you'll talk about you. But I just think that is so situational and objective to who you are and what car you're in, because these guys ran well all night for the most part. Finished in the top 20, you heard almost little to nothing, but I guarantee, it's an easy example to go back to, but when Danica was running, she could be running 25th, and they'd pan to her car 5 times every race, when she's 2 laps down. I'm just making a comparison for these guys that are in the underfunded stuff. I felt like just like, I don't know if it's Fox production or whatever, but little to no attention to the guys that aren't in JGR stuff or junior motorsports stuff. Um, I guess this leads right into the next topic we can talk about is Brandon Jones being Brandon Jones. Uh, I'm sure Dale Jr. is probably already worried about the amount of equipment that he's going to have to replace this year with him behind the wheel. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little overcautious, but like I said, that ridiculous block he threw on his teammate there at Daytona to wreck himself, and then I don't know what happened last night. It looked like he just came up the track, and I don't know if
Cleared
he thought he
himself
was. Yeah, tried to clear himself is what I
two
thought
weeks in
too.
a row.
And terrible, took himself right out of there. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on the last four things I've just said, but it's kind of just me venting out there, talking about everything that I feel like,
No,
that
I feel like the Danica Patrick the comparison you made was pretty good. I felt like that was pretty good, easy way to understand that. But the Brandon Jones thing, yeah, he's been with every top tier organization you can be with now, and some things just never change. So
yeah, I don't know. For a guy that's been running as long as he's been running with the equipment that he's been running in, he's always been surrounded by a great group of people, and he still figures out a way to wad the most shit up of anybody in the field every year for the most part. Um, so yeah, like I said, I'm sure juniors like, oh Jesus Lord, what did I get myself into? I guess if they're paying the bills, wreck it up, Brandon. Keep doing you, man. Other than that, Austin Dillon and Cole Custer getting, it looked like Cole Custer blew a right front getting off of one of those restarts and took Austin Dillon with him, and then Austin Dillon got super lucky with the way he played the strategy, but I think with the amount of damage, he had no right front fender, and that track's so aero dependent, he had no chance at being really, competing for a win, anyways. And
oh yeah,
took out,
100%.
like I said, took out Custer, and I thought he was probably going to be a threat to win. John Hunter walks away with it over I think it was Sam Mayer and Allgaier. I don't know. I thought that race, like I said, was a little bit more racier than the Cup race, which we'll get to here rather soon. But yeah, I mean, I don't have too much other to say. Like I said, I thought Joey and Blaney did well complimenting each other in the booth. I'm sure it was a long ass day for them
Yeah,
being there
not to
after the
mention
Cup race. Oh God, that would
exactly.
have to have sucked. I bet they were regretting that decision after they were getting out of their cars. Like, oh shit, we got to go up and
Honestly, though, they really did not sound like they felt that way. If even if they did, I mean, they
yeah,
really
no,
did a great job. And
I thought so
it,
too.
it was when they were watching Creed wreck and they were just when that caution came out at
Shit
the
their
end,
pants. Yeah,
they
yeah.
brought more excitement to the booth than I mean, I think
Most
even
regular
the cup
commentators.
booth did,
Oh
truthfully.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if I said it last week, but I for the Cup booth, I just don't think Boyer and Stewart are very good for the booth. I mean, they get good insights to maybe how the cars are handling, but the not much excitement, not much enthusiasm.
They had some good banter here and there,
Yeah, but
now and then, but
I think what NASCAR tries to do, and particularly Fox, they try to bring in guys who have really good, natural, good personalities and throw them in and dress them up and think they're going to be able to be these same figures in the booth when they're putting them in a smaller box, in my opinion, because they really can't say everything that they want to say because they're in some situations probably a little bit biased.
well,
Um,
not only that, I kind of wondering too if Boyer's almost having to hold back a little bit because he's scared of getting himself in trouble. I mean, he was
exactly. He's a
what
lot
what
like me. That's what I compare it to. Is like I want to say a bunch of shit most of the time and just talk how I want to talk, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. But like at the level he's at, he's got to really be in a little bit tighter of a box. And I just think Fox is trying to dress up these guys, because obviously both, Tony Stewart's a polarizing personality. He was great in the car, great sound bites. He cannot be that same person in the booth. Neither Boyer. I just think they're reaching too far. I didn't think Gordon was great when he was in the booth. Not that he was an amazing personality. He just always was sucking off Hendrick and everybody there. So it was like ridiculous about his amount of bias. He wasn't even scared to show his bias. So I think it was probably. I'm happy he's doing what he's doing at Hendrick. Let's just say that. Other than that, though, I mean that's pretty much all I've got for the Xfinity stuff. What
yeah,
do you think?
speaking of booth, I feel like this is kind of a good transition. It's Kevin Harvick. He'll be up there next year. He actually just made his 750th
Yeah,
Cup
I saw
start
that. Yeah,
consecutively.
at
Um,
Cal at his home track. It's pretty
yep,
sweet. Yeah,
yep. Which I mean, I saw some stuff on Twitter earlier in the week. I don't know if I sent it to you about him getting suspended for a race, and basically he would have
yeah.
even an
The
longer streak if
most.
he didn't get
Yeah,
suspended in one race.
yeah. It was a stupid suspension too. I don't know if you remember it, but he spun a guy out pretty much and
I
stupid.
started watching in 07, 08, 09. So
Oh yeah, this was well before then. I mean, this
yeah,
was like 2000, I want to say, or something like that. Maybe 99, 98, I don't know. But yeah, so if you want, we can just jump over to the cup stuff. What do you think?
yeah. It was the Cup race really started pretty wild. Got three wide right off the bat. Guys were kind of all over the track. There's no better way to start it than saying KFB is back. He really,
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
he, that car, this whole race was crazy. I mean, he got a speeding penalty,
came
went all
from
the
the
way back
back.
to the back,
Yep.
came from the back, drove all the way up to Chastain, had a great battle for the lead. Don't want to get too far ahead of the skis here, but that battle that him and Chastain were having coming into the final stage was pretty incredible.
Yeah, their battle even went on to pit road, and just with Kyle beating them off pit road, there is probably what won them the race. I felt like Kyle and Chastain were the two best cars all day. Obviously, with Chastain, dominating the first two stages, and we can kind of get into what happened there. Obviously, I think the first yellow was when I know you'll be opinionated on this. Is LaJoy turning Brad Keselowski there off of turn two, and it seemed I saw a video after the race. It looked like they talked and were laughing about it, but I'm sure if Brad would have been destroyed there, he wouldn't have been very happy. I think he came back to finish in the top 15. And you made the reference earlier before we were started this is you know, LaJoy was involved in like the first three cautions.
Yep, the
You
first
know,
three cautions for cause, other than the the competition caution, he was involved in what he spun Keselowski out. What was the
spun
next
off.
one?
He got spun off
He got
somebody off
spun.
four.
Yeah,
Yeah,
by Reddick, I think it was, and he, I
I'm
mean, he
not
got,
sure.
I don't
Yeah,
know, it almost looked like Reddick kind of did that on purpose. I don't know what you're
yeah, I don't
thinking,
know.
but it kind of seemed like it.
It was
Um,
close.
but yeah, then there was that deal down the back with
Yeah,
AJ.
yeah, I don't
I
know,
mean,
man. It was interesting. It obviously ruined AJ's, chances at a decent run. Um, but then, obviously, I guess we can talk about while we're on the yellows here, that big wreck there that happened coming to the restart zone. I'm not sure exactly what lap that was on, but it took out, I think 6 cars. Christopher Bell was in it, Blaney was in it, Haley was in it. A lot of the cars were able to keep going, but there was a couple of them that their days were ruined. And then, before that happened, obviously Larson was a non-factor all day after he had engine trouble. Bubba had engine trouble, so they were
again,
never.
how many
Yeah,
times do you think that is for Larson now? I mean, over the last 6 months that he's had engine, I mean, there's been
I think it's him
multiple
more than anybody.
last
I
year.
feel
Yeah, it
like
seems like it's
it
crazy.
really does.
You think it's Cliff Daniels pushing the issue, the engine compartment pushing it on the
I'm
five
sure.
car, or
I'm
what? I mean,
sure it's if you're not trying to, you know, be faster than what you were last week, you're not doing your job. Um, I don't know what the diagnosis was on those cars for them blowing up, but I feel like it's hard to blow an engine nowadays too, which is interesting. And
well, it seemed like once he got, they changed out. Let me look it up since
well,
you.
while you're looking that up, I mean, I can highlight a couple other things. I look at Jeff Gluck's was it a good race poll every week, just like probably most of NASCAR fans do, and it was overwhelmingly a good race. And I don't know if it's just me, but I didn't see anything as spectacular in that race as I have seen in races past, where I would vote it a 90+% uh, good race. I thought it was good racing because cars could move around, but I mean, other than 3 wide restarts after about 3 laps, it's single filed out for the most part. I think I told might have told you or somebody that I would absolutely trade a that track for a Bristol Martinsville hybrid. I don't know how you could even argue that. As long as NASCAR fixes the damn short track package, um, that is my vote. Uh, in a perfect world, they keep Auto Club, never go back to the Coliseum again, and still build this racetrack. Where it's a Bristol Martinsville hybrid. So I think it's obviously a biased poll this week because everybody's salty that it's the last race out there since they're going to be tearing it down. But I get it. I mean, it's been a good racetrack. I think I will say this. I think Michigan is on pace to be as good, if not better, of a track, and that's what's going to be taking its spot here because that was repaved in I think 2000 was it 11, 12. As
12,
long
yeah.
as they keep
It might have been 11. You might
as
be
long
right.
as they keep, yeah, I think it might have been. I'm not sure, but Michigan is the next track that can be as great as what you know Auto Club was. It used to be just the same. You used to see guys right up next to the wall, right now, every which way. So I think Michigan is the next track that has the potential, as long as it keeps aging well, they take good care of it or bad care of it, I guess, however you want to look at it, and let that track age out because the groove is widening each and every year, little
I
by
mean,
little.
they literally could have replaced Auto Club with Michigan this year. I think the weather in Michigan was better than it was in Southern California
Yeah,
the weekend of the race. So
yeah, they could. Yeah, it
food for
wouldn't.
thought.
Yeah, bring them here in February. I'd love it.
It seemed like the Larson issue was a wiring issue because once he went back to the garage, they took him, I don't know, 20, 30 laps, whatever it took him to fix it. He got back out on the track and he seemed like he was pretty much up to pace with
Yeah,
everybody else. So,
so it wasn't
um,
an engine issue.
no, it was a something that they probably would have found in practice had they been able to practice. So, that,
2 weeks in a row, non-practice plagues guys where they could have found issues.
yeah, unfortunately, but, um,
Hate to see it.
there's a lot more guys than not that didn't have issues. So it's just, I mean, which is
Hmm.
pretty crazy in itself. I feel like the teams are doing a really good job for having as little of practice as they're having, going 400 miles without an issue. So many of them, but obviously there's a few that just unfortunately get unlucky.
Yeah, well, and this is interesting too because from what I understand, the cars that they ran this weekend, they have to run those same cars and same engines at Vegas next weekend. So I don't. I wonder how that works if you're a guy like Bubba that blew his engine. you have to put a new engine in it. Is there any type of penalty for that? I'm sure there's not, but I mean, it's actually it could end up boding very well for him since he's going to have an engine that has, basically no miles on it comparatively. I don't know what the teams are all, able to do, turn the cards around, but I'm sure if it's a car with a brand new engine comparatively to guys that have 400 miles on it, I got to assume that's an advantage. I don't know. I'm not an engineer or mechanic, but just my assumption.
So why don't we talk about that restart crash that we had?
Yeah.
There was a lot of cars involved in that, and I mean, personally, I thought it looked like Joey Logano. I don't think he hit the brakes or anything or really checked up real hard, but it seemed like he was just kind of waiting on him.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really go, nothing. I don't feel like he really did anything wrong, but it was more so just he had longer to wait and everyone else had longer to anticipate and just kind of people trying to anticipate it, didn't
Yeah.
anticipate it right, and it just guys in the back paid for it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they expanded the restart zone too for the first 5 races of the year. A lot of people are saying that might have been the cause of that. When they show the overhead view of that wreck, it looks like the field just like you said, anticipated him going, and he waited until the last second. And in an interview I saw, he just said he never brake checked. He just waited till the last second to go. Obviously, it's always easy to blame the front couple rows on that wreck, but I don't think he did anything wrong. I just think he just used the box that they were put in, and that's what happens. Everyone trying to anticipate didn't work out very well for anybody. Other than Kyle Busch getting that win, I'm really happy that that happened. Um, Obviously, it's just what could have been if he would have stayed at JGR. It sucks that he's not there, but I think everyone's past that now, and I'm happy that it only took him 2 races to get into victory lane. And like we had discussed before last week's podcast, he's been in contention every single race that they've had all year.
Four from
Clash,
four.
yep. So that's all you can ask for if you're in that good of equipment and you know able to able to compete for wins on a regular basis, you'll be just fine. Chase Elliott finished in second. Congrats. Um, Chastain, I think, was third. I think he was about the only car that probably could have went up there and competed with him. So other than that, pretty much all I've got. We can touch on is I sent you that information about what Denny Hamlin was talking about. Kyle Busch, it came out today on Denny's podcast about how JGR supposedly really did work hard to make Kyle an offer, but because of the sponsorship of Mars leaving, um, there's no way they were going to be able to afford that. Um, I don't know. I just think, why are we still talking about this? I guess.
I think it'll be the last time. I think people
I hope so
I
because
mean,
it's
I
just
hope to, but I don't know if a lot of people know, but it's really hard to come up with a $10 million sponsor.
it's hard to come up with any sponsorship. So, but it's hard for me to believe that Richard Childress, that Kyle Busch took a pay cut and went to Richard Childress Racing. I don't believe that to be the case. I think Richard probably did offer him much closer to the number than what Gibbs did. I don't know if we discussed it last week, but you know, Kyle said that Joe told him he was dipping into his own pockets to keep him. And I mean, I don't know if Kyle Busch is just such a cold-hearted guy that he just couldn't handle taking the amount of millions that Joe was prepared to give him. But at the end of the day, if they're offering you to keep your ride after promising you that you'd retire with that team, you got to take that. And I think it's who knows if we're actually being told the real story about what went on. But, you know, from what I understand, Joe made him the best offer he could. And I just don't see a world where Kyle takes a pay cut and goes to a team that's been underperforming for the last 4 to 7 years or 10 years or since forever, but not forever, but since Harvick left. I don't see him taking a pay cut and him going to Childress. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I'll have to go through and listen to the Denny podcast tomorrow. Obviously, this podcast will hopefully be out before then, but I just don't see a world where he leaves Gibbs, takes less money and goes to Childress, but I guess we'll never know.
Whatever he took, I mean, it was worth it because it paid off this weekend, and I bet you it's going to pay off a lot this year. It seems like
Yeah.
they are on a roll, to say the least. I mean,
Yeah.
it's looking like a dominant season for them right now if they can keep it up. I mean, yesterday it was it wasn't even close. I mean, he drove from the back all the way to the front, past Chastain on the bottom when the
Hmm.
top was dominant, like you mentioned. I mean, he was just flying. That car was so fast, and
Well, it's not
Chastain
even
just got
just it's
faster.
not even just him. It's I felt like the Chevys in
Yeah,
general were very
they were
strong.
top four. Didn't they finish
I
top
think
four in the
so.
race?
I think
Because
so. Yeah.
Trackhouse finished third and fourth, didn't they? I
Yeah.
think
I
it
don't know
was.
who got fifth. I know Chase got second, but I
Yep.
thought the Chevys were just strong. I think the addition to having, I think arguably two best drivers in NASCAR, Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, in Chevy in the Chevy camp now is just they are sitting on a gold mine with them too. Two most talented guys in the sport, and it was cool to see everyone come around and be happy for Kyle too. I heard a lot of cheers yesterday, not as many boos.
A lot more cheers than boos for sure.
I guess one of the maybe we can squeeze this in here, but one of the last things that some of the information that we came upon was the documentation that we saw. I think it was Nate Ryan that reported this.
Yep.
Um, I'm gonna kind of read through as much as I can here, but obviously, um, NASCAR sold an extent, all but 90 acres of the facility there, the real estate. They sold for around more than $500 million. I think it was 540 million. And they're planning to put a lot of that money back into the facilities to rebuild the short track. And it sounds like the people in San Bernardino County released a 7,700 page long list, including thousands of pages of pushback for this track and pretty much NASCAR to even be out there. I was kind of amazed when I saw this. It kind of sounds like I don't know if it's the state of California or what, but they're trying to not only, obviously they make a huge NASCAR makes a huge sale to them, and they're going to do whatever they do with that property out there. And now they're doing everything in their power to make sure that NASCAR kind of doesn't even have a place to come out there. So I was baffled by this. And Nate Ryan, if you follow him on Twitter, I recommend you do. He's one of the more reliable guys on there next to Gluck and Bob. But he does really good work, and I think if anyone's listening to this podcast and goes through reads his, I think he's got 8 to 12 tweets here of um, you know, talking about kind of what we're discussing now is the amount of pushback that I guess the state and the county are giving NASCAR right now as to why they don't want him out there. I just don't understand. That's just unbelievable to me. I know NASCAR tries really hard to kind of cater to the West Coast too. I mean, if you really notice, all of our start times now are 2:30, 3 o'clock after. It used to be noon, 1 o'clock races. But apparently NASCAR thinks the demographic out there is so large, we cater to that market as far as our start times. And now, you know, at least one of the largest states out west where we want to have the biggest presence doesn't really seem to want to be a part of it. So I don't understand that.
Yeah, it really is a shame that Auto Club's going to be taken off the schedule just for the at least in my eyes, for the fact of it's just such a great looking area. It makes for some really great pictures and some really great videos when everyone fans out six wide through three and four with the mountains in the background, and um, it just over the years has made for some really great shots, and um,
Great racing.
definitely some great racing. Yeah, so we're gonna get to the point too here in a few years anyway, where it literally is just gonna be a top dominant racetrack. Kind of, it'll probably get to the point where it's so worn out where you can't really race anymore. It's just kind of gonna end up being like Atlanta ended up being. Just you could still move around, but it would eat everything up so bad that it was hard to have some really good racing still. So um, definitely whatever comes next. I don't know if it's a short track, bring it on. Maybe we'll have some good racing and it'll be a nice looking area and we'll have some of those vibes back. But um, for now, we'll see. We've got a couple years till we know. So for now, we'll see. We'll look forward to going to Michigan next year in February.
Yeah, I think one of the more difficult parts for at least most NASCAR fans is we're in a position now where we don't even know if we'll even be going back to the state of California, like we just touched on, with the amount of pushback that the county and I'm assuming state are giving NASCAR with the amount of money that NASCAR said they were going to bring in to rebuild. I can tell you it's hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild an entire facility like the way they want to do it. Yeah, they're making $500 million off of the sale, but it's just kind of interesting to think about that the you know the original structure at North Wilkesboro will live longer than what Fontana's. You would have never ever predicted that. It's like
Moody
kind of
said 2 years ago, he's like,
it'll
get it
never
out of
come back.
get it out of your mind. It's never
Yeah,
happening. And now
yeah.
look, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't blame him for even thinking that then, or even
I
saying
don't
that.
either. That place looked like a shithole forever. Needed
It was
so much
dumb.
work done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just kind of wild to look at it from that perspective. You never would have expected North Wilkesboro to make a comeback in its original kind of structure, and we're talking here now that doesn't even look like there definitely won't be racing in California for the next 2 years, and hopefully that changes in 2025 or six or whatever, and they can bring something back out there because, like I said, we kind of cater to that West Coast demographic as far as their time zone. So, apparently they're seeing a whole bunch of people out there that are interested in our races because, it sucks starting races at 3 o'clock. I hate it. I wish we'd go back to when we started races at noon and 1 o'clock and have everything after 4:30 to do what I want with my day, but it's just not going to happen. It sounds like from listening to a whole lot of the Dale Jr. downloads and stuff, and we're past that, and it sucks.
Yeah. So Fontana, one more time, thank you for so many great races.
Yep, rip.
Everybody over there who is track president, everybody who's put all the effort in to make those races great. But
Yeah, well, they sold out a lot of the races there in the last 6 to 8 years. I mean, real quick, I guess we can touch on what are your top two most memorable, you know, finishes or races there that you got to
2011,
witness.
I think 2011. I
Is that
wasn't that with
Harvick,
Harvick and
Harvick
Jimmy?
and John? Oh, that was fucking awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, that was memorable for
unbelievable.
me as a Jimmy fan. I was very disappointed. Um, was
Right.
very frustrated that Harvick did my boy like that. But second, I think memorable one that comes to mind is probably Jimmy's Superman win, just because it's Jimmy. That's the one I remember
Yeah.
personally. I
Hmm.
yeah, I remember that for that reason, not necessarily the racing. The
Yeah.
race
No,
wise, I
that's fine.
remember Harvick. Oh, okay. Well, actually, I take that back. 2013, Denny and Logano
That
getting
was
into it.
great
Kyle Busch
too.
comes around and he gets another one. That one was pretty amazing too. How about you?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with all of those for the most part. Um, honorable mention would be that year when I don't remember. I think it was 2016 when Kyle blew his right front tire across the finish line to take the white. Suarez passes him. Kyle drives the shit out of it, bounces it off the wall in turns 1 and 2, passes Suarez back when he runs out of fuel and drives it into three, bounces off the wall, and Austin Dillon squeaks by him off four and takes the win. I will say Kyle Busch is probably the only damn driver in NASCAR that can run an entire full lap with a blown tire and still only lose the race, finishing second and lose by under 2 seconds. That's what I took away from that. It's freaking unbelievable.
It was incredible. I mean, you can't script a better finish than what happened that day. Like, and I unfortunately could not watch that one live, so I was so
Oh
disappointed
yeah.
when I got back and watched the finish. I'm like, I can't imagine what it would have been like watching that live. It was
Oh,
amazing.
I shit
Best
my
finish
pants.
in history. Like,
Well, I
you
will say
can't.
there
How
was
do you do better?
another amazing Xfinity finish that I want to say it was like 2008 or 9. It was between Greg Biffle and Kyle Busch
Yup.
and Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, I think is who it was. And I just love those steel bodied cars. That was my favorite era of NASCAR. That race right there, that was probably, I think Kyle edged Biffle out of the line. Joey spun off. Joey spun through the infield. It was just a fucking incredible race. So, yep, those would be my two most memorable probably races, other than the two that you said.
Yeah, hard to keep it just to two. A lot of great races over
Yeah.
the years. A lot of memorable moments, like Brad Keselowski hitting the catch fence back in the '88 car and the Navy car.
Oh
I
God,
remember
yeah.
that.
Thought he was dead. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. There's so many crazy memories from Auto Club. Some great races, great interviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of tracks like that, but man, Auto Club, especially being a Jimmy fan, it's a little extra special
Yeah.
just because he was the man there. You know, obviously Kyle. I think if they kept their track around, he might have had something to say about it. But
Yeah.
um, you know, for now, it was a great place to watch races, and it's been a lot of fun. But looking forward to what's next,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think Michigan is going to be the next. I think we and us Michiganders have something to look forward to. As long as our track keeps aging out, there's no reason that we can't have that type of racing at Michigan. So I'm hoping, hopefully, we'll be a destination for those people who miss California so much they want to come here and watch.
Yeah, well, while we're on the topic, I'm sure we'll get to this topic again when the Michigan race comes around, but Michigan needs to upgrade their facilities
Oh,
because
so bad,
if they
so
do, I
bad.
mean, the facility is going to be great. There's already a great atmosphere. It's amazing time of year to go there in August or in,
Hmm.
you know, even when there was a June race, it was amazing atmosphere every race. And if they'd upgrade the facility, man, I think that place would sell out
Oh yeah,
every time.
yeah,
Easy.
it's already selling. Since they
It's already
knocked
selling
it
great.
down. Well, since they knocked it down to one race a year, the fan out rate, the fan outpour out there has been significantly higher than what I noticed in two races. Um, I guess that's just, you take something away from people, they want it more. So, yeah, they desperately, desperately. I can't say because I don't go to many other racetracks, but I mean, my God, they need to upgrade stuff out there. They need to get with the times, that's for sure, because there's some outdated stuff out there.
Well, I guess we can move into weekend's results and just kind of move on to Vegas a little bit and just
Yeah,
look forward. But I'm just gonna run through some results here.
yeah,
Kyle
I've
Busch,
got them. I've got them pulled up on mine as well. I'm looking at the same thing.
obviously Kyle Busch ended up with a victory. Fields got to watch out this year, going to be dangerous. Chase Elliott, sneaky. Started all the way in the back in 33rd, had to come all the way through and really kind of was quiet all day. I felt like probably was not the quietest Hendrick car. I think Byron might have been the quietest Hendrick car. He was
Yeah,
moving
what
up a
happened
lot
to him?
earlier.
He
Don't know.
sucked.
Yeah,
Did he
he
get
was.
into a wreck?
No, I think he just. I don't remember seeing him in a wreck. I think he just fell off. Just maybe didn't keep up with the track. Just
I don't
lost
know.
some
I
track
I
position or
I
something. And
picked him in one of my other leagues, and he shit the bed for me. So I
well,
don't
he
know what
came all the way
happened.
from the back, and I mean, he flew right to the front. And I thought, man, Byron's gonna have
Right.
something to show today, and he just didn't. He just never really showed up. But you know who did show up is Trackhouse, Ross Chastain,
Yep.
Daniel Suarez, third and fourth. I mean, Trackhouse couldn't ask for a much better start to the season. And now points leader Chastain is I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the first time Trackhouse has actually been the legitimate leader of the points, but
Yeah.
they're
It's
leading the points
early.
now.
I didn't realize Chastain led 91 laps yesterday. I mean, I know he swept the
Oh, I
first two
didn't either.
stages. He led 91 laps. I mean, the
Yeah,
next
I guess
closest
that's to be
was
expected.
Kyle Busch at 27, and then Martin Truex led 19. So, I
Wow.
mean, he was absolutely the best car for majority of the day yesterday. It's not when it counted.
Kevin Harvick in his 750th start, top
Top
five,
five, yep,
pretty
not
solid.
bad.
Denny
Yeah.
with a pretty quiet P6. He was kind of mixing it up and up front a little bit. Keselowski came all the way back to seventh after getting spun
Yeah,
on.
I think that's why I said he was smiling when LaJoy came up to him because I think if he, that would have destroyed his car. I think
Yeah.
Keselowski's is happy to get their stuff into the top 10 on a weekly basis. That's what they should be asking him for. Because Chris Buescher finished 13th too, and that's you can get both cars in top 15 in today's day and age. You're doing something right when you're a two-car team, and I do like to see Austin Dillon up there, kind of being on the back of what Kyle Busch can do. If he doesn't perform this year, I don't know what to tell him because you got the best in the business telling you how good your cars are. I think it's super. I think it's just as important this year for Austin Dillon to have a good year as what it is Kyle Busch, to be quite honest. Not that I don't think anyone's worried about Kyle, but I think Austin Dillon has to have a good year, and then obviously you've got your boy Bowman,
Hey,
eighth
and
place.
one more thing about Austin before I start talking about how good of a year Bowman's about to have. Austin Dillon, I don't know if you noticed, he's nowhere to be seen in the first half of the race, it seems like, in any race. And then all of a sudden at the end he always shows up. So
Well, you know what?
it's
A
kind of
fun
starting to be
fact
that
that I saw is
what's that?
Cody Ware is ahead of Austin Dillon in points right now.
Still, even with Austin's ninth place finish?
I believe so.
Really?
I fact check that. Yeah, I should look that up so I
You
don't sound
definitely
like an
should.
idiot.
Well, while you look that up,
Yeah, go ahead.
Alex Bowman, 2 starts this year, 2 top 10 finishes. He's off
Mm,
to a great start, led a lot of laps yesterday. Drove right to the lead when the green came out yesterday.
yeah, I
Um,
don't know. We'll see what happens.
I uh, I don't know, pretty confident.
Yes,
He's looking good
Cody
so
Ware.
far.
So Cody Ware is 22nd in points, and Austin Dillon is 23rd.
Well, that's pretty good. And actually, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get to LaJoy with his 14th place finish, which
Yeah,
is pretty incredible for him. But isn't he like 12th in points or 16th in points or something? 15th?
he's 13th.
13th. Oh, I said about every position around there, but yeah, no, I
Yeah,
mean that's crazy. Just it's obviously early. I know the points will look crazy for a few weeks, but I mean
yeah.
to come off of Daytona and then did he finish better at Auto Club than he did at Daytona? I don't remember where he finished at
I
Daytona.
don't remember, but I mean,
Let me
there's some
check it.
interesting guys in these point standings. Like, I mean, not to hate on the guy anymore and kind of what I do, but Ty Dillon, I mean, he's just such a field filler. I mean, Jimmy Johnson and Travis Pastrana are both in front of him in points, if that tells you anything. But Tyler Reddick's dead last in points, so I mean, what does that tell you? So, like you
Right.
said, it'll take the first month or month and a half or two to really have these points stabilize and stuff like that. But still good talking points while these guys are still up here. Got to give them the clout while when they deserve it. So it's still cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, BJ McLeod actually beat William Byron and Ryan Blaney and
I
uh
know.
Austin Cindric.
Well, I think
BJ McLeod, watch out.
a lot of those guys, I think might have been in that wreck too. There
Yeah, for sure.
on
I know
that.
Blaney was hurting pretty bad. Um,
Yeah,
Obviously something must have happened to Byron because he just was so far back most of the day. Briscoe finished back there in 20th with Eric Jones. I expected Eric Jones to run better. Really didn't run very well.
I picked him. I put $5 on him, and yeah, none of those. Jimmy ran like shit. Miller ran like shit, and so did Eric Jones. They're all way back there.
Where was
Missed
Jimmy
it
at?
below Eric Jones. I think. I think both of them are way the hell back.
Jimmy didn't even start the race. What are you talking about?
Jimmy didn't run out there.
No.
Oh well, then hell, I'm high. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I know Noah Gragson ran like shit too, though.
Yeah, I mean he took the lead at one point, but it was just because I think he stayed out or something on some pit strategy.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, no, not
Not
really
the
anything
day.
flashy. Stenhouse
Yeah,
backs up his Daytona 500 with a top 12 run. It's all right,
yeah, I thought that was important.
pretty good. I know we kind of started out going in the line. We're kind of jumping around now, but I don't know. I don't really see anything major that stands out to me
Yeah, I don't either. I
other
think
than
if
that.
we can make our picks for Vegas and
Call it a
get
day.
out of here. What do you think? So for Vegas here, what do you got?
Well, you go first.
I already know who you're gonna say. I think.
I don't think so. I don't think you do.
Okay, well I'm gonna go with Bubba. I think
Good
until
pick.
last year when Larson slipped up and got him into the fence, and then Bubba decided to act like a jackass. He was going to have a good run, and that's kind of a sister track to what Kansas is, and obviously 2311 ran pretty well out there. So I think either of those two cars at 2311 would probably be good picks next week. But I'll go with Bubba.
This one's really hard because I know the Penske cars are really good out there.
Yeah,
Chase has been kind of hit or miss. I feel like he hasn't been very good out there, but for some reason I just feel good about him, but I'm still not taking him. I really want to take Ross, because I think he had a great run out there last year, and I think they've learned a lot since last year.
hmm
But I don't know. I feel like Truex had it taken from him last year, so I think he's
hmm
gonna get it done this year.
I was going to say him,
I'm jumping on the Toyota bandwagon with you.
Truex or Blaney. I don't think Blaney's ever won out there, and he's been in position to win like two or three
Yeah.
of them as well. So
Blaney's got a couple places where it's like that, especially like Bristol comes to mind, where I feel like he's been the leader and been wrecked from the lead like 5 times at Bristol. So
Yeah, yeah, a couple times I could think off the right top of my head. Yeah, you're right. So,
but yeah, we'll
all
see.
right. Well, it was been a good episode. Episode 2, Auto Club Speedway in the books. So race, pretty decent stuff. But at the end, last race at Auto Club. We will miss you dearly, Auto Club Speedway. Um, we'll look forward. I think we've got all 3 series next week running out at Vegas with the trucks, Xfinity. I know a couple guys are going to be doing triple duty with Kyle Busch being at the top of the mind. I hope. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. He goes out and wins 2 of the 3. So, um, for Matt Kemp, Morgan Baird, this is Passing Under the Yellow. Thanks for watching, guys.
Love it when it's 4 wide, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's caught, the pack is moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear the double say.